Hey guys, Probably1701 here, and today I'm going to talk about the Troughton era and the stories that I have seen versus the stories that I haven't seen. Luckily, I've seen most of his work, a good portion of it especially. Most of what I haven't seen is stuff that's just largely missing because I really don't like listening to the audios. Because, like, I can listen to Big Finish because that's the medium it's meant to be. It was created to be audio, whereas like the soundtracks to missing episodes, that's not the medium it was created for, so I have a hard time following it. And I'm not the hugest fan of recons, although I thought the Macro recon on the Macroterra Blu-ray was pretty decent. I could follow it. So starting with the Power of the Daleks, my first time I saw it was the 2016 animation. My first time experiencing it. And I've seen the 2016 animation, and I also have seen the 2020 animation. I own both of them. They're both fine. It's a great story. I really enjoy it. Really, really good post-regeneration story. Really good Dalek story. This is one of the best Dalek stories, I think. Troughton is just great here. And I think the animation really does the story justice. The Highlanders I've never seen, listened to, again, because it's all missing. This is one I really, really want to get animated since it's Jamie's introduction story. I'm a huge fan of Jamie. He's one of my favorite companions. He ranked really high on my top 10 companions list. So I would love to get the Highlanders animated so I could experience this story. Underwater Menace I've never seen. Only episodes 2 and 3 exist. 1 and 4 are missing. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, I've talked before about how I really like, in a story where that's only partly missing, I really like for the final episode to be intact. For some reason, that's a big deal to me. I love having the final episode of a story to exist. I just like that a lot more. And in Underwater Menace, 1 and 4 are missing. Only the middle 2 and 3 exist. So I haven't watch this. I've seen clips from it. I've seen pictures from it. I know how over the top the villain is. I've seen some of the really goofy looking designs. And plus, I know this story just doesn't have the best reputation to begin with. I really want it. I do want it to get animated, but I'd rather they only animate episodes 1 and 4. I don't see the point of animating 2 and 3. Just do episodes 1 and 4, and I'll be fine with it. The next one is the Moon Base. I love the Moon Base. I am a huge fan of the Moon Base. I own the Moon Base on DVD. Love the animation here. This is my favorite animation they've done thus far in Doctor Who. It's really, really good. And it's not really jarring switching between the animation and the live action for me. It doesn't really throw me off any like it does in a lot of the other stories. It's really well done. Plus, it's just a great Cyberman story. It's a better version of the 10th Planet, basically. After that, we have the Macroterra, which of course I have seen. I've talked before about how I love the animation in the Macroterra. It's my favorite post-Daleks animation. Daleks and post-Power, I should say. Post-Power of the Daleks animation. Really, really good. I don't think they have done a better story than Macra since Macra, for sure. The animation is really, really good and helps what could have been a weaker story without it. The story, because of the animation, I think the animation really pulls the story up for me personally. I really enjoy the Macroterra, whereas if the animation had not been as good, I might not would have enjoyed it as much. Then next is the Faceless Ones. Again, I like the animation. I've seen this one. I like the animation in this one. not quite as good as Macroterra's, but still really good. I enjoy it. Love that they also included the surviving episodes, so you can watch those if you want. Only episodes 1 and 3 survive. Sadly, I wish some of the later episodes did. For me, the main weak point of this one is the story. The story to me is a little weak. It has some weak plot points that kind of make me go, Ben and Polly's leaving, while nowhere near as bad as Dodo's, is still kind of weak in my opinion. And they just kind of disappear after episode 2 and then just kind of pop back at the end. And yes, I know it's because of their contracts and stuff. I know all about that. But again, the animation doesn't bother me as much as I just think the story is weak. Evil of the Daleks. Have not heard this one, seen this one. Again, because it's mostly missing. Really, really am waiting for that animation announcement. Come on, BBC. We're halfway through March. Where's my animation announcement on this? I really want this one animated. I've seen bits and pieces from, I'm guessing it's episode 2, like when the Dalek shows up in the house. and basically says, we have your companion, and the Doctor's like, I will not be your servant. I like that scene, wonderful scene. Really want to see that story animated. So hopefully we get an announcement soon. Moving into season 5, I own the original release of Tomb of the Cybermen, which is before they had started doing it in Vidfire. So it still has that kind of film look, unlike the special edition, which has the more television look where everything flows a little smoother. I have the first release, so I've actually had it for a while. So it's been quite a while since the first time I watched Tomb. It's one of them I've seen several times. And it's a good story. I like Tomb. I think it's a little overrated, but I still think it's a good story. That scene when the Cybermen are kind of hatching out of their little hibernation units really is creepy stuff. Abominable Snowmen, again, since most of it's missing, I've never seen it. I've never listened to the audio. That's another one I'd like to get animated. Come on, BBC, get me some kind of announcement here. The Ice Warriors. I don't really get into this one. First off, the animated episodes are fine. I do think the animated Ice Warriors look a little weird. I don't know why. Something about the way their mouth moves seems off. But the rest of the animation is fine. I have no problem with that. It's the story here. That, and I find Victoria very annoying. I'm not a big fan of Victoria, but I really find her particularly annoying in this story. But I find the story lackluster. I find it not very interesting. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it again. I only watched it, I think, for the first time last year. It was either 2019 or 2020. But I still didn't find it interesting. Next is Enemy of the World. I bought that one when it first released in 2013, 2014, early 2014, whenever it originally released on DVD. I bought it, really liked it, pretty fond of that episode. I think Patrick Troughton is just fantastic in it. Web of Fear, I actually got that one, I think last year. Yeah, and that was the first time I watched it. I'd just never gotten around to watching it before that. Really, really good. It's like a Pertwee story. It's like a Pertwee era story before the Pertwee era. I like it. And of course, it's nice to see Nicholas Courtney as the Brigadier in it, of course. Really good story. I like the Great Intelligence. And then we have Fury from the Deep. If you've watched my channel, you know I'm not too fond with the animation from Fury from the Deep. I thought it was several steps back from what they had done before. But the story is fantastic. The story from Fury is really, really good. I would love for them to find the actual original episodes, because the surviving footage from it looks fantastic. Next is The Wheel in Space. Again, most of it's missing. Never experienced it. Never heard it. Would love to see it animated, though, especially seeing as the final episode survives. Episodes 3 and 6 survive. And I do love a story where the final episode survives. So this one would be right up my alley. Would very much love to get it animated in the next year or two. Moving on to season 6, The Dominators. I've actually never seen The Dominators, and I want to. Mainly because with The Dominators, I want to know whether or not I will agree with the general consensus that it's not very good, that's really bad, or if I might think it's underrated like I do the Crotons. So I actually want to see The Dominators just to see how my opinion on it will fall. The Mine Robber. I tried to watch The Mine Robber once years ago, but at the time I didn't understand what the episode was about. I'd never read a synopsis or anything for it, and I didn't realize that it's supposed to be really out there, because when I first started trying to watch the first episode, it was really out there, and I didn't realize it was supposed to be really out there. And I think that's the one where Troughton's sitting there going, no, must fight it. And then like Jamie and I think Victoria are just in this white void, and I just remember being totally lost as what was going on. I don't even think I made it all the way through the first episode at the time. Now that I have more of an idea what it's about, and I know it's really well regarded, I actually do want to go back and actually try watching that story sometime. Next up is The Invasion. The Invasion's fantastic. The very first story to have its missing episodes animated. The animation is pretty good. It works. I mean, it's not as good as a lot of stuff that came later, but it's fine. It works. It's a really good story. Really like seeing the Brigadier here as the actual Brigadier for the first time, since he was just a colonel in Web of Fear. The Cybermen are great in this. The human villain Vaughn is great in this. It's a really, this is actually, I guess, the first story where Unit's officially called Unit. Really good story. Next is the Crotons. I actually really like the Crotons. I know it doesn't have the best reputation, but I watched it for the first time last year. Is it either 2019 or 2020? And I really liked it. I actually think it's very underrated. The villains, yeah, they look a little silly. I like their diamond heads, but the rest of their outfits look kind of silly. But I do enjoy the story, plus Troughton's really good in it. So I actually think the Crotons is better than people think. Seeds of Death is really good. This is actually a much better story for the Ice Warriors than the actual story of the Ice Warriors. Seeds of Death is really, really good. I actually rewatched it last year. Not the first time I'd seen it. I've owned it on DVD since the special edition came out. Really, really good. But when I rewatched it, I was reaffirmed just how much I really liked it. Never seen the Space Pirates again. It's mostly missing. I don't really listen to just soundtracks. I actually do want it to get animated again, just because I'm curious if we can see it in a visual medium, if it might get reassessed the same way Enemy of the World was reassessed when its episodes were found. So I really actually would like to see Space Pirates animated, just to see if it might get reevaluated. The War Games. The War Games I've actually seen since when I was little. I saw old episodes of it on PBS. It's probably my first episodes of Troughton I remember that were just Troughton episodes. My first memories of Troughton, I think, was from the Five Doctors. But my first episodes that I remember of Troughton in black and white in his original run is from the War Games, because I specifically remember the final episode of War Games with him being on trial and then him kind of just spinning into the background at the end. That is a childhood memory I have. And I did buy the DVD when it first came out in Region 1, because I live in the States. I bought it immediately because I had to have that one. I really enjoy it. And it is a fantastic story. Really, really good. A little repetitive maybe, but it fills out its 10 episodes really well. And I do think episode 10 is most definitely essential Doctor Who watching. I mean, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you really need to watch the whole story, but you have to see that final episode. It's so important in Doctor Who history. And the Time Lords are never better. Their first appearance in the final episode of War Games is the best appearance the Time Lords ever had, period. And then I've also seen his Troughton when he comes back later. I've seen the 3 Doctors, I've seen the 5 Doctors, and I've seen the 2 Doctors. I love the 3 Doctors. I really like the 5 Doctors, and the 2 Doctors is there. So what do you think of the Troughton era? Are there any holes in your viewing of it? Have you seen all of the Troughton era? Is there some episodes you prefer over others? Is there some episodes you think are overrated, some episodes you think are underrated? Are there episodes you haven't seen from the Troughton era that you're actually looking forward to seeing? Comment down below. I always enjoy interacting with you guys and getting feedback and finding out kind of what you think of the topic I'm talking about, which in this case is Troughton. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. I have started a Patreon page if you would like to contribute to that. There's a link down below. Click it, click it, click it. Most importantly, though, stay safe out there, and thank you for watching.